The night my wife told me to leave, the house felt colder than usual, not because the heater was off, but because something between us had finally gone quiet. It was the kind of silence you don't notice at first, the kind that settles in slowly and then refuses to leave. I remember standing in the living room, holding my jacket, unsure why my hands were shaking. It wasn't even that cold outside, but my fingers wouldn't stop trembling. The lights were dim, casting soft shadows on the walls we had once painted together, arguing over colors, laughing about how messy we'd made the floor. The clock on the wall kept ticking, slow and steady, like it didn't care that my entire life was quietly rearranging itself. She didn't shout. She didn't cry. There was no anger in her face, no visible frustration. She just looked at me and said, "I think it's best if you move out." Her voice was calm, too calm, the kind of calm that tells you the decision has already been made, rehearsed, accepted, the kind that doesn't leave room for questions. I waited for her to explain. I waited for her to say it was temporary, to say we just needed time, to say we would talk about it later, or that we would figure it out together. I waited for something that sounded like hope, but she didn't say anything else. She turned away, straightened something on the counter, like this was just another task on her list. Like she had already said goodbye in her head long before that night. I packed one bag, not because I wanted to leave, but because staying felt worse than stepping into uncertainty. Every shirt I folded felt like proof that I didn't belong there anymore. When I closed the door behind me, I truly believed I was walking away with nothing. No home, no marriage, no future I could see clearly. I thought that was the end of my story. What I didn't know was that months later, I would be sitting in a quiet office, holding a stack of papers that would change everything I thought I knew about my life. Papers that would rewrite the power balance I never realized existed. Papers that showed the company my wife built, the company she controlled, the company she always told me I had no real part in. It was mine now, and she never saw it coming. I met my wife when I was young and still trying to understand who I was supposed to become. I didn't have a clear plan. I didn't have ambition mapped out in bullet points. I just wanted stability, connection, and a life that made sense. She had all of that clarity. She was confident in a way that made people stop and listen. Focused, always talking about goals, milestones, and where she wanted to be 5 or 10 years down the road. She didn't just dream about success. She moved toward it without hesitation, without second-guessing herself. I admired her deeply. I still do. We were together for years before we got married. Long conversations stretched late into the night. Shared routines, inside jokes, quiet moments that felt safe. When we married, it felt right. Not perfect, not like a fairy tale, but solid. Like we were choosing each other deliberately. When she first talked about starting her company, she was sitting across from me at the kitchen table, eyes bright, hands moving as she explained her ideas. I listened. I believed in her completely. When she asked for help, I didn't think twice. I helped with paperwork, answered calls, organized files, stayed up late when she needed someone to listen while she worked through problems. I didn't ask for credit. I didn't need recognition. I believed marriage meant sharing success without counting who contributed more. In the beginning, we were close. We ate dinner together almost every night. We talked about everything, not just work. We laughed easily. Life felt balanced. But as the company grew, something began to shift. At first, it was subtle. Longer work hours, phones checked during conversations, her mind somewhere else even when she was sitting across from me. I told myself it was normal. That pressure came with ambition. That success demanded sacrifice. So I stayed quiet. I didn't realize that while her company was expanding, my place in her life was slowly shrinking. The distance didn't arrive all at once. It slipped in through small moments that were easy to ignore. When I asked about her day, she answered with one word. When she made decisions without mentioning them to me. When she said, "You wouldn't understand this part," I laughed it off, pretended it didn't bother me. But every moment left a mark I didn't acknowledge at the time. At family dinners, people praised her achievements. They asked about the company, about growth, about her future plans. No one asked about me. I became the quiet one at the table, the one who smiled politely, the one who felt invisible beside his own wife. At home, silence became routine. We stopped eating together, stopped sharing thoughts, stopped asking how the other person felt. One night, I noticed legal documents spread across her desk. Contracts, papers I didn't recognize. When I asked about them, her expression hardened. "You shouldn't be going through my things," she said. The words weren't loud, but they cut deeply. I apologized, even though I didn't fully understand why. I told myself I was lucky. Lucky to be married to someone successful. Lucky to play a supporting role. I believed questioning anything would only make things worse. But inside, something was breaking. I felt small, replaceable. Still, I stayed because I believed marriage meant entrance. I believed if I stayed long enough, things might return to what they once were. I didn't realize how close I was to being pushed out completely. The night it happened was quiet. No argument, no raised voices, no warning. She sat across from me, her phone face down on the table. "I've been thinking," she said. Those words tightened my chest. She talked about space, about how we had grown apart, about needing clarity. Then she said it. "I want you to move out." The room felt hollow, like all the sound had been pulled away at once. I asked if there was someone else. She said no. I asked if we could work on things. She said she was tired. She handed me a small envelope with cash inside and said I would figure things out. That hurt more than anger ever could. I packed while she watched television. She didn't look at me. When I left, she didn't follow me to the door. That night, I slept in my brother's spare room, staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment of our marriage, wondering how something that once felt so strong could end without a fight. The weeks that followed were heavy. Time moved, but I felt stuck. I questioned everything about myself. Then a lawyer contacted me about separation paperwork. I almost didn't go. I thought there was nothing left for me. But sitting in that office changed everything. The lawyer explained that during the early years of the company, my name had been included on documents, shares, agreements, ownership clauses. Back then, I had signed without understanding. I trusted her completely. Those signatures mattered. Legally, quietly, I owned the company. I didn't feel proud. I didn't feel powerful. I felt calm. When my wife found out, she looked at me the same way I once looked at her that night in the living room. Speechless, unprepared. I didn't seek revenge. I didn't celebrate. I took responsibility. I ran the company with fairness, with respect, and with an understanding that power doesn't require cruelty. And for the first time in my life, I stood on my own feet. Today, my life is simple, quiet, peaceful. Sometimes I think about that night, about the door closing behind me, about how I believed I had lost everything, but I hadn't. I lost someone who stopped seeing my worth, and in that loss, I found my own strength. Life doesn't always change with shouting or drama. Sometimes it changes quietly, with silence, with decisions made without you. If there's one thing I've learned, it's this. Never believe you are nothing just because someone no longer needs you. Your value doesn't disappear when someone looks away. Sometimes, what feels like rejection is actually your release.